Greetings and welcome to the basement. In this video, I'm going to go over how to get Unity set up and ready so that you can start learning about game creation. Obviously, the first part that we got to start off with is the URL. Unity.com is where you're going to want to go to grab all of this goodness. But before we even get into downloading Unity, I would say that the first thing you should do is create an account. Why? Well, Unity has this thing called the Asset Store where you can download a bunch of free stuff. You can also pay for a bunch of stuff too, but there is a bunch of good free stuff on there. But in order to download anything, you have to have an account. So that is the first thing we are going to want to get set up. And to do that, you're going to click on the little person icon right here. And you're going to want to create a Unity ID. Now, upon coming here, you will need to enter in an email. I find it immensely amusing, by the way, that someone has actually registered with the email, someone@somewhere.com. But yeah, just give it any old email. Now, if you are one of my students, formally taking one of my classes, you will of course have a student email. I would recommend against putting that here. Here's why. After a semester of not taking classes, you lose access to that email account. Now, that wouldn't stop you from logging into your Unity account, but if you forgot the password, it would make password recovery very difficult. So I wouldn't recommend using your student email here. Make sure that this is an email account that you are not going to lose access to. And then you got your standard password stuff. What do you want to have your username be for your community profile? Do keep in mind that this is most definitely public right here. People are going to be seeing this, so pay attention. And then your full name. Of course, you don't have to literally put in your full name here, but it's there if you want to. Of course, you have to agree to terms and service, and you're going to have to check the friendly little I am not a robot box. Now, if you don't want to create a specific account for Unity, you can link it to an existing Google account or an existing Facebook account. So go ahead and get that done. That really is something that needs to be done just immediately, right off the bat. Now that we have a Unity account, let's get Unity. There's a few clicks involved in getting there. So to start off with, well, we're going to go to Get Started. Seems like a nice logical place. We're going to click on that link. And it's going to take us to the plans and pricing page, which I'm just going to real quick change these to the annual plans so that way they look expensive. Now, you do not need to pay Unity a $400 a year ransom fee, subscription fee, if you are just learning how to use Unity. You can tell how thrilled I am about their pricing model here. You don't need to do it. Everything that you need is in the base package. In fact, I deliberately have the version that I record with be the standard edition to prove the point that there's nothing that I am doing that's using pro features. In fact, there aren't any pro features except for two minor details. One, dark theme UI. For some reason, they hold that to ransom. Thanks, Unity. Thanks a lot. The other thing that you get, other than some of the priority stuff on the online side of things, is the ability to customize the splash screens. If you don't care about customizing the splash screens, subscription basically gets you nothing. The only reason why you need to get these subscriptions is if you have the nice-to-have problem of making too much money. So if you are pulling in $200,000 or more a year in terms of gaming revenue, yeah, you are obligated to get the pro license. Like I said, having to spend $2,000 a year because you're bringing in $200,000 a year or more, I classify that as a nice problem to have. Over on the individual tab is where we want to be. Now, there is a student version, and if we click on sign up here, we can see that there's quite a few steps here. You have to create a GitHub account, you have to apply for the student developer pack, and then you have to activate your student plan. It's nothing particularly hard, it's just a lot of steps, and it will take some time. And pretty much the primary thing you get with that is you get access to their Learn Premium stuff, so a few more additional resources, and you get the dark theme UI. Yay. So if you want to do that, there you go. But to get started with I would say just, grab the person. Oh yeah, and for the student edition, you have to be a student at an accredited institution in order to get that. You just can't randomly say, well, I'm learning, and get the student version. No, you do actually have to be a college student for that one. So let's click on the Get Started. Now, ignore this first-time user thing because it's going to try to guide you with, picking a micro game to start with. And it's like, nope, we're not into that. Just let's get base Unity without any fluff. So we're going to go to the returning users, go here, and it is finally going to take us to the store page where we can actually download Unity Hub. So of course I have to accept the terms of service that nobody ever reads. And as you can see here, you are not allowed to use this if you make more than $100,000 a year. Again, having to pay $400 a year because I'm making $100,000 a year. Nice problem to have. So you click on the download. Off it goes. The hub's a fairly small download. It's just 52 megabytes. Depending on your internet speed, shouldn't be too bad to download. Upon downloading that, of course, you will just open it up, allow it to install, and I'm going to stop here because, of course, I already have Unity Hub installed, and I don't want to confuse things. You just let it install, and it should automatically open up the hub. Now, how do you open up the hub? Because that's like the central point of Unity. Well, if you've already opened it once on a particular session, you will have a little icon down here that looks like the Unity logo that you can use to open the hub. You should also potentially have somewhere, and you need to go away. Thank you. You should have somewhere, yeah, I got a messy desktop, deal with it. Somewhere on your desktop, you should have a link to the Unity Hub, or my favorite method is just to hit the window key and type in hub, and it should pop up on the best match here. Now, of course, I am on a Windows machine. If you're on a Linux or a Macintosh, your mileage is going to vary on this one. Now, upon opening up the hub, well, if it's the first time you've installed Unity, you're not going to have anything here. As a matter of fact, let me sign out. You'll probably see something more along the lines of this. You'll have no projects. You probably won't have the new button visible right now because you don't have any installed, and you're not going to be signed in. And you might get a message randomly complaining about the server being unresponsive. Who knows? Installs. This is the final step for actually getting Unity installed on your machine. So I'm going to go to the installs category, and I'm going to click on Add. Now, the hub allows you to manage multiple versions of Unity being installed really easily. If I really wanted to, I could have, let's see here, I already have 2019.3.4 and 2019.3.14. And if I really wanted to, I could then install 2019.3.15 and 2018 and 2017 and the alpha of 2020.2 and the beta of 2020.1. That would be a bit silly of me to do that, but I could. Don't install multiple versions of Unity if this is your first rodeo with it. Just install the most recent official release. Now, a quick point of clarification if you happen to be one of my students formerly enrolled in a class. On the course shell that we use online, there will be an announcement stating what is the official version for that particular semester. Make sure you check that and you get the correct version. Generally speaking, this will be whatever the most recent official release is at the time classes start. I believe that will be .15 for the summer 2020 semester, but that could change. Now, in the event that you want to get something different, let's say that for whatever reason, I need to have 2019.3.10. Well, I don't have it installed, and I don't have the option here. Well, if I click on Download Archive from this Add Unity Version menu here, it's going to open up another web page. And now I can download, I mean, if I really want to, I can go all the way back to Unity 3.5.7 from December of 2012. I have no idea why you would want to do that, but you can. But more realistically, here I would have the ability, oh, okay, here we go. Here's 2019.3.10. A quick note on version numbers. The minor, or the minor number here, or yeah, I don't know, they have a weird way of doing it with having the year. Technically, I guess it would be year, minor, build. So the build number isn't that important. I can bounce back and forth between .15 and .13, and I probably won't screw up my project. It's never a guarantee. But these are build numbers that are primarily fixing bugs within the engine itself and does not have an impact on the actual project structure. Now, the changes from .3 to .2, the minor version number change, that is more significant, and that can cause problems converting projects back and forth. Probably won't, but there's definitely a higher possibility. Needless to say, you cannot go from you cannot take a 2019 project back into 2018. It's not going to work. I don't think the system will even let you do it. But these minor numbers here, or the build numbers, they're not too important, but it's still important to make sure that you have your version matching what's being used by the instructor. So I'm not actually going to install this because, oh, that would take a bit. I'm going to go to the final screen before we get to the install. Now, I already have Visual Studio installed on my machine, so I'm no longer seeing that option. There should be an option on here to install Visual Studio. Make sure that is selected. You want the Visual Studio add-on for Unity. In the case of, do you need the Android? And keep in mind there's a sneaky little arrow here for additional items underneath the Android build support. No. The only thing that you would need, again, this is primarily directed towards my students formerly taking classes, is the WebGL build support. You are going to want this because you are going to want to do WebGL builds. Now, if you don't do this right away, you can... Whoops, did I just click? Okay, yeah, cancel. We don't actually want to do that right now. You can, after the fact, after you've installed a version of Unity, you can click on these three little dots here and go to Add Modules and add back in a module that you may have missed. So for whatever reason, I want to go back in here and add in Mac support, which I don't actually want to do because I don't have a Mac. So you can go back in after the fact. Once you have a version of Unity installed, you will be able to use the New button to create a new project. Now, before you do that, I would strongly recommend that you sign in here. Like I said, you have to be signed in to use the asset store, and you are going to want to use the asset store. So you're going to want to sign in here. Now I'm going to yoink that window off to the side. Get signed in here real quick. There we go. And now I'm signed in. Cloud projects. I will talk about cloud projects in a different video. They definitely need their own dedicated video. But if this is your first time using Unity, you are not going to see anything like this down here. Now we can use the new button. Now if you've got multiple versions of Unity installed, you can use this down arrow to deliberately select which version of Unity you're going to create in. The default assumption is it's going to grab the most recent version that happens to be on your machine. Project name is really irrelevant. It's just sort of an initial setting. This will determine the folder name, the default name, and the default name of the project, both of which can be changed at a later date with like no fuss whatsoever. Still, when you're creating a project, choose a sensible project name. Location. You can specify where this is going to be installed to. In my particular case, I have my location set to my D drive because I don't want projects going to my SSD, which is my C drive. Then you have the option of, well, what package do you want to install? If you are one of my students, the answer is almost always Basic 3D. There's pretty much no reason to do anything other than that unless you know for a fact that you are doing a 2D game, in which case you might want to choose the 2D option. The only thing that differs between these are a few settings that are changed that you can easily change yourself, and a minor variation in the default packages loaded. The 3D project is generally the best one to go with, followed by the 2D one. 3D with extras is, well, basically just this project with extra junk. Useful to take a look at, perhaps, but as far as starting new projects goes, I really wouldn't. Render pipeline, the high definition render pipeline and the universal render pipeline, those need dedicated videos. That's a completely different method of handling rendering, and that can also really mess with a lot of different asset packages. So that is its own separate kettle of fish. Once I have everything set up, I can click on the Create button. And at this point, Unity is going to think quite hard and then eventually create the project, and it will open up. So while it is thinking on that, I am going to do a quick recap on how to get Unity. You start off with unity.com, you go to Get Started, you select your plan, which again, there's very little reason to select anything other than personal, unless you're already making tons of money. Click on the Get Started, it takes you to the screen. Ignore the first time users, just simply go to Returning Users, which will bring you to the page where, after accepting terms of service, you can download the Unity Hub. After you've installed the Unity Hub, which you can just accept defaults on, you are then able to open up the hub, go to Installs, and add in an install. If you need a different version number than what's listed here, you go to Download Archive, where you can choose from any of the versions of Unity that has been created. Upon having an install, you can click on the New button, or you can use the down arrow to specifically select a version. Give the project a project name, which will be its default folder name, and then choose the version you want, which is almost in all cases 3D. Again, unless you know for a fact you're doing a 2D game, in which case choose 2D. And now my project is open and ready to go. In the next video, I'm going to cover the layout of Unity, the default windows that open up, and just some basic operational aspects of Unity. Hopefully you've found some value in this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. And if this was a complete waste of your time and you didn't learn anything from all of this, well, the thumbs down button is right next to it. Until next time.